Hey folks, so being our last instructional day, I'd like to at least touch on uh, tangent and cotangent. Now, you saw that sine and cosine, one cycle was over 2 pi. So let's see what happens when we graph the tangent. Now we know that the tangent of 0 is 0. So I'll put a little dot there. That might be a little too big. Right there. And then the tangent of pi over 6, that was one of those worst ones that I told you about. And that was what? Root 3 over 3. And root 3 over 3 is a 0.57, so just about a half. And then tangent of pi over 4, 45 degrees, that's the easiest one. That's a 1. And then tangent of 60 degrees, or pi over 3, that turns out to be a 1.7, like this, way up here, almost to a 2. And then finally, tangent of 90 happens to be undefined. So guess what, folks? We're going to need an asymptote right here, crossing that right there. Okay. So at 120 degrees, we're going to be at a negative 1.73, which happens to be a root 3, tangent of 120, or 2 pi over 3 happens to be a negative like this. And I could also do that on this side. Well, I'll just continue with this. And then at 3 pi over 4, we have a negative 1 right there. And at 5 pi over 6, we're going to be at a negative 1/2. So you can kind of see what the graph is doing. If I transfer these 3 dots, and if I went negative pi over 6, that would be at a negative 1/2. And at negative pi over 4, remember we're in the 4th quadrant, that would be a negative 1. And at, let me think about it, negative pi over 3, or 5 pi over 3, we're going to be at a negative 1.7. And then at negative, straight down, 270 degrees, tangent, or negative pi over 2, guess what, folks? That's undefined, and we now have another asymptote. And again, this would be our tangent graph right here. And again, it looks like a funny S, almost like a y equals x cubed. And let me draw that again because that wasn't pretty. But it's going to hug this asymptote as you get further out. And it's going to be this funny S. And I kind of missed that dot. And it's going to hug that. So I should have moved the line over a little bit, but, you know, I can't do it. And again, it's going to repeat itself. And again, so these are two graphs, but you only need to do it for one. So unlike sine and cosine, tangent is only negative pi to pi. It's only pi units long. A half a pi and a half a pi. That's a whole pi long. So that's all it is one cycle is pi units unlike sine and cosine is 2 pi units. Okay, we're going to go down here and graph the cotangent. And here we go with cotangent, folks. So the cotangent of 0 degrees is undefined. So we're going to need an asymptote there. So the cotangent of 30 degrees is 1.7. That's going to be right about there. And let me make that a little bit bigger. Okay, that's good. So that's going to be like right about there. The cotangent of 45, or pi over 4, is a 1. And the cotangent of 30 degrees will be a 0.57, so a little bit more than a half. The cotangent of 90 degrees, or pi over 2, is 0. And what we get is we get a graph that's going to be looking like this, where the s goes another way. Now, half of this is 3 pi over 4, and I should be at a -1. So half of this distance, I'm at pi over 2, and pi is 3 pi over 4. And I should be at a -1, so that's lined up perfectly. And then cotangent of 150 degrees, or 5 pi over 6, would be a 1.7. So that's going to be about there. And then the cotangent of pi happens to be undefined. So I need another asymptote right here. And you can see what the graph is doing. So let me see if I can get a better drawing on this. Oh, that's looking good. Got that one. Got that one. Got that one. And there you go, folks. And it's going to hug that line. So again, just like tangent, one cycle is only pi units long. So I don't want to make this video too long, but you can do some of the exercises, some of the worksheets, if you keep looking ahead. I don't know exactly what slide it's on, but you do have some tangent and cotangent problems to do. So you have to remember, let me see if I can go back up. See if I can pull this down. Might mess everything up. Yeah. So again, here's your tangent graph, but that's period is from -pi over 2 to pi over 2. And it's a funny S. It almost looks like a cubic. But then cotangent starts at 0 and goes out to pi, and it's almost, you know, a funny S that way. So there you go, folks. I didn't want to bore you too much, but, you know, it's always nice to graph the tangent and cotangent and have a little bit of idea. You juniors, make sure you know that unit circle by heart. All right, folks, so as our last instructional day, I hope it was a pleasure teaching you, and I did have a lot of fun. As you know, I enjoy teaching you guys. And 7th and 8th period, I'll tell you, you were my best class. I loved you guys every minute. All right, take care. We'll see you. Bye-bye.